Many of the women that I have spoken to over a number of years tell me that they're really, really keen to find ways of bringing spirituality into their lives. But all too often, these same women then go on to say that they don't have the time, or maybe they don't have the resources, and some of them are just so overwhelmed and confused that they just don't even know where to start. Now, the reality is that, aware of it or not, spirituality, and in particular the law of attraction, is constantly in action and working with us. So what these women are really wanting at the end of the day is a way to read the signs and to interpret the abundance of messages that we are constantly receiving from the universe in general. Now, in some form or other, we have all during our life made attempts at magic, at manifesting and communicating with the universe as a whole. Did you blow out the candles on your birthday cake as a child and make a wish? Or, maybe you saw a shooting star one particularly dark night and you decided to take your chances and make a wish on that star as it, proceeded on its journey. Maybe you're someone that's dropped a penny into a wishing well, or perhaps you've blown the dawn from a dandelion on a summer's day. These are all really well-worn methods of expressing a wish or a desire out there into the universe as a whole. Now, as a child, you may well have believed in these methods wholeheartedly, just trusting and knowing that your desires were going to come true. But of course, once you've uttered your wish into the ears of the universe, you often have little choice but to sit back and wait and trust in the process and see what happens, what the outcome is going to be for you. Now, some of these wishes may well have come true. Some wishes will no longer hold the same kind of importance in our world. And some we may think, oh, I dodged a bullet there. Maybe we've forgotten about some of our wishes, but others, I am sure, have turned into lifelong desires that we utterly crave for, but we just don't know how to manifest them into our reality. Or worse still, you may have given up and decided that it's just not meant to be for you. Now, I admit freely that for many years I struggled massively with the whole process of divine timing. When I was told repeatedly, ask and it is given, it's already there for you. I anticipated some kind of process of, rubbing the lamp and a genie type performance would just appear where the object of my desires was just miraculously there in my reality. But of course, the universe rarely works in this way. And sometimes that's a good thing too, because often it gives us the time to be sure that what we're asking for is what we truly, truly want. The universe is far more subtle in its messaging. So I undertook countless courses to help me read the messages and the signs from the universe that we were receiving on a daily basis. But even then, in the early days, for me, I was still plagued and haunted with thoughts such as, is that a message? Maybe that's telling me something, or maybe I'm just interpreting something because I'm so desperate for the thing that I'm wanting to materialize. And I really struggled personally to tell the difference between what was my intuition and what was the thoughts in my head, and which was the dominant force, the voice in my ear telling me, oh, don't be silly, that's not a message. However it appears, I know that you will all have experienced the same or at least similar things at some point in your life. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is that it's actually part of the journey that we all need to undertake as we move along our particular path. Now, over time, my knowledge grew and I learned many tips and tricks to really help me navigate some of this process, although obviously we are constantly learning. But I knew that for many, many women, there remained a really strong sort of burning desire to get in touch with their spiritual side and to find the balance and guidance in their lives that they felt they needed and that they were really seeking, but they simply just didn't know how to start the process and how to reach it. Now, my mission for some time now has been to really work with and help as many women on their own spiritual journey as possible. I want to reach out and really help people. So I decided to try and find a tool that was going to be easy to use, accessible whenever we require it, and would give these women the guidance and the reassurance and maybe the support or even the early warnings and that little nudge that they needed if they were perhaps headed in a slightly detrimental direction for the thing that they were trying to bring into their lives. Now, no one can, and indeed no one should, offer to give you a step-by-step guide of what is going to happen at exactly what time in your life. That is not something that we should be looking for, because where would the enjoyment come from if we didn't have surprises? What is a journey without some fabulous scenery? And so often when we allow flow to occur, things work out so much better than we could ever have anticipated or planned in our own minds, because the universe knows us so much better than we know ourselves. And when we have reached a goal in the past, and we take a moment to look back on the events that led us to the place or the object that we desired, it is often the process or the journey that has given us as much, if not more, enjoyment than the final result itself. But if there was something that could be with you at all times and give you a gentle sort of nudge and help you out and offer you some reassurance until you sort of were able to grow your trust in the universe, and more importantly in your own intuition, in terms of reading the signs or following the crumbs that are laid out for you, well, wouldn't that be something really rather wonderful? Well, with all of these thoughts sort of crowding around in my head, I decided to take some time and look for a way to help as many people as possible who I know for sure were feeling lost or confused, frustrated, unfulfilled, all these different sensations that we go through. And the obvious place to start for me was based on things that are currently available for us that we can use. Now, I didn't want my ladies, as I'm going to call them, to have to learn a new skill in order to be able to use a tool, because we've already addressed the fact that time is often an issue. And, if that is the case, then they simply do not have the time to spend years refining a skill to get a deep connection with source or spirit or whatever it is that they are trying to work with. I also know firsthand that often you need an answer on the spur of a moment, and often at deeply inconvenient times when it would be highly inappropriate to just go and sit in a corner and perhaps meditate for 15 minutes or so. So with that in mind, it had to be something that was easily available, quick to use, give us some instant results, and be constantly on hand, almost like a bit of a companion that was with us at all times. Now, most people, even those at the very start of their spiritual journey, have at least heard of tarot cards. And as a true devoted lover of these cards myself, I can tell you that, the standard deck of 78 cards can offer you guidance and support and pretty much, any topic you wish to put in its direction. But learning to interpret each card, along with its reverse meaning, if you choose to read it in that way, or, that how the meaning of the card can change when you read it, in accordance with the card before it or the card after it, that in itself can take years and a good deal of patience to really sort of get comfortable and familiar with. And I admit that, once again, intuition really comes into play here, certainly for me when I'm reading these particular tarot cards too. But if you aren't the kind of person that is completely at ease with trusting your intuition at this moment in time, and your gut feel is, possibly not quite where you'd like it to be, then there is a huge capacity for misinterpretation. Now, I went on to find my solution in oracle cards. This is another divination tool that many people are embracing. In fact, more and more, they're growing in popularity. They're generally more freeform than tarot, and they're usually easier to understand and navigate, particularly for somebody who's just stepping out into this particular world. Typically, each oracle card has an image and usually one word on it, such as strength, trust, belief, these kind of motivating words, if you like. And they can be deeply, deeply comforting in certain situations, but they're still not as clear cut as I personally would have liked when beginning my own particular journey. And perhaps that says something about me. Maybe I'm just overly needy, but I'm sure if I was feeling that way, then I can't have been the only one. So with all of this going on in my head, I decided then to create my own deck of oracle cards with the aim of addressing many of these frustrations that I had experienced in my past, if you like, and that I knew were relevant frustrations for countless other women at this moment in time. So with that thought, let me present to you the Spellcaster oracle cards. Now, this, you can see they're very small here, where we'll put images on. But this beautiful deck of cards is smaller than most traditional sets of cards. So it addresses the issue of accessibility. They were designed specifically so that they can easily slip into a purse or a handbag, allowing you to access them at whatever moment it is when you most feel the need for guidance. Now, if I just show you at the side of my tarot cards, you can see the difference in size there. The images are designed to be clear and strong and hopefully quite easy to interpret. Furthermore, they are supported by more of a phrase than an individual word. And the idea here is that those who have a better relationship with their intuition, rather than the kind of on-off love affair that I had with my intuition in the early days, can really take their own meanings and listen to their own interpretation from the card, whilst those of you that are wanting a bit more hand-holding, if you like, can refer to the phrase at the bottom of the picture and hopefully connect the two with the image you're looking at and the words that you can see on the card. In addition, as is pretty standard with most decks of cards, there's also a small guidebook included for further clarification in terms of what these messages are actually giving you for the times when you still aren't totally sure how to interpret the messages that you are being given. Now, the cards can be read individually, or you may choose to pull multiple cards at a time to give you more kind of guidance around a specific topic or situation that you really are grappling with at the particular moment in time. Now, these cards they're beautiful to hold and they're easy to shuffle and the images are great. They are already available in a number of spiritual shops around, and I've been utterly, utterly delighted and blown away by the feedback that I have received from people. Not only are they helping beginners immensely on their own spiritual paths and journeys, I've discovered that they're also being used and really appreciated by a number of professional readers who feel that these cards actually, add a new dimension to the depths of the readings that they are giving. These cards were really designed with a new reader in mind, but they also have the added benefit of giving you more and more as your confidence grows and as you get used to working with them. And when you look at things, you'll see different things in the images that your eyes are drawn to that perhaps you haven't noticed before. And your connection and your intuition will deepen as you work with these cards on a regular basis. Now, if you're keen to get your hands on your own deck of these cards, then you can, of course, pop over to my online shop now. But before you do, I have one special offer for you that might actually make it worth your while to hang around just for a couple more minutes. hang out with me for a little bit longer, and I promise you it won't take you anywhere near the amount of time it would take you to learn a deck of tarot cards or the art of divination. But it might just be something that could be of interest. You see, I have a second, rather different deck of cards that I also wanted to share with you today, or to introduce to you while I'm here. Now, these cards are very, very different to anything you might normally expect to see in terms of the readings that happen on a regular basis. They can be used in isolation, but what I've found is a real synergy when reading these particular cards in conjunction with the spellcaster cards that I showed you just a moment ago. Now, these cards are crystal based, okay, and we call them crystal clear. Now, Awakening, which is the parent company of Seek, has been working with these cards for some time now, and really sort of getting to grips with them and understanding what they can do. But we've never really sort of shared them and given them the kind of public exposure and airtime that actually these cards truly deserve until now. We know that many, many people love crystals, and often people are sort of drawn into discovering more about spirituality and their connections after loving crystals for some time. And in most cases, it's the quartz or the amethyst that people sort of start to resonate with. But over time, we see an increasing number of people coming and sort of asking us, what crystal do I need for this particular ailment? Or what crystal can help me sleep? What crystal do I need to work with for money or for a new job or improved health, love, manifesting, etc., etc.? There are more and more questions coming in. Now, in other cases, there is a crystal that we could, or indeed should, be connecting with at certain times in our life when, we actually have no idea that it could help us, or even that particular crystal exists. The whole thing is, you only know what you know. Perhaps it's the colour of an associated crystal, which is indicating the colour that you should wear for an important job interview, or maybe a first date. Maybe the crystal is telling you one of your chakras with an associated colour is blocked or needs some attention, that will then, once that's been cleared, will allow you to move forward with your journey, maybe to manifest the thing that you're looking at, to get closer to your goal. And there really is a crystal for every single situation that we can come across. And we know that so many of you really want to deepen your connection with these sort of beautiful, frankly, incredible pieces of natural, being. Now, as I mentioned before, both of these sets of cards are designed to work individually. But actually what we have found increasingly is that when you work with them together, the two sets of cards really do sort of align and give much more depth and support, regardless of how far along you are in your own particular journey. And it is really fascinating to see how these things work. Now, both these sets of cards are currently available in the merchandise section of our website, Seek Spirituality, and right now they're priced at $19.99 per deck plus postage, depending obviously on where you are in the world. But for anyone watching this video, if you click on the link provided, you can actually purchase one of each of these decks of cards, or more if you so wish, for a reduced rate of £30 plus the postage. So that's really giving you an automatic saving of 25%, and giving you two incredible sets of cards that you can start to work with on your particular journey.